Hello everyone. So we are once again back with another video. This time we'll be covering CA Foundation Accountancy. In this video I'll be revising mainly the first theory portion, that is the theoretical framework that is there in your textbook, the first unit. Sir, I was thinking to skip this unit, sir, because anyways there are a lot of chapters, there will be a lot of sums that will be tested. No, better in my view, it is not advisable to skip this, because this will help you in true or false questions as well, and always there is one or two mandatory questions being asked in the first compulsory question, and trust me, by just learning these summary notes you will be able to answer all of those questions. So easily you will be able to score those 4 to 6 marks, that too which is coming in the compulsory question. So in my view, you can keep this for the end. This can be something like last in first out LIFO, because this is more of theory which is easily forgettable. So you can read this in the end, but ensure you go through this and go, so that those 4 to 6 marks you will definitely be able to score. In CA exam, 4 marks also are very, very important. There are many students who are there at 36 or 38. For them, these 4 marks will enable them to clear the exam. So please ensure you just go through these summary notes. You will be able to answer all the questions that have been asked in the previous attempts. I have gone through all the past questions. Most of them have been very, very direct theory questions that they have asked, not kind of case study based question also. It's just a direct theory question. So it will be very, very easy to answer if you remember the points. So let's get started. We will be revising all the 7 units that are there in your first chapter theoretical framework. Let us start with first unit, unit number 1. Meaning and scope of accounting. You all know accounting has various elements in accounting. Just a minute. Yeah. So accounting is the art of recording. This recording is your journal. Classifying, which is your ledger. Summarizing, which is your trial balance and financial statements. Sir, what will be summarizing? We'll be summarizing transactions and events which only can be measured in terms of money. You all know in accounting we will only consider those transactions and events which can be measured in terms of money, and then you will interpret the results. What do you mean by interpret the results, sir? Once you have prepared the financial statements, you will try to cross question each financial statement, or you will try to analyze the financial statements. Guys, in your 12th standard or 11th standard, you would have learned something called ratio analysis. So through these ratios, we will try to analyze the financial statements. Then whatever final conclusions we will get, that we will communicate to the users of financial statements. So accounting definition is very, very simple. Accounting is the art of recording, which is your journal. It is an art of classifying, which is your ledger. Once you have recorded in journal, classified in ledger, then you will summarize all these in the form of trial balance and financial statements. Once you have financial statements, you will analyze those financial statements, you will interpret those financial statements, then whatever conclusions you get based on that interpretation, that will be communicated to the users. And remember, in accountancy, only transactions and events of financial character will be taken into account. Those which cannot be measured in terms of money are ignored in accountancy. So if you remember these simple words of recording, classifying, summarizing, interpreting and communicating, you can definitely be able to write this definition of accounting. And what all we learned, these recording, classifying, summarizing, interpreting and communicating, these are also called as steps involved in generation of financial information, or steps involved in accounting. This can also be a direct 5 marks question. What are the steps involved in financial accounting? Very, very simple. Recording, classifying, summarizing, analyzing, interpretation and then communication. You will be able to easily score 5 marks. So I have also summarized in your book. There are big paragraphs. They have written a lot of stories. I have brought in only the key points so that you will be able to remember them and write it in the exam. So a direct question which will help you to score marks. So first I want you all to remember the definition of accounting and steps involved in accounting. This will help you easily score marks. Then next important theory part is what are the objectives of accounting. Now those who would have learned from us, you would have experienced this in the first class itself. We would have started this subject itself with what is the objective of accounting, why this subject exists. Very, very simple. This subject exists mainly to make a systematic record of transactions. Otherwise, if you don't maintain a systematic record of transactions, it becomes difficult to understand what is happening in your business. So first objective of accounting is to maintain a systematic record of transactions, which is also called as bookkeeping. Now guys, you need to know clearly what is the difference between bookkeeping and accounting, because that is also one of the important theory questions that ICA may test. Let me explain you that difference. See, now we have seen different steps in accounting, correct? One is recording, classifying, summarizing, interpretation, and communication. Now the part which is till summarization, or in other words till trial balance, whatever you do, which is basically the clerical work of passing journal entries, posting them into ledger, and preparing trial balance, that clerical work is called as bookkeeping. It is a part of accounting, but accounting is a wider term which also includes preparation of financial statements, interpretation of financial statements, and communicating the results of those interpretation. So remember guys, bookkeeping is just a clerical work of recording the journals, posting into ledger, and then preparing a trial balance. But the processes that come afterwards, which is actually preparing the financial statements, interpreting the financial statements, communicating the results of interpretation, all these form part of accountancy. See, bookkeeping also is part of accountancy, but it has limited scope. It is only till trial balance. Accounting is a larger concept which also includes interpretation and communication. So please ensure you are very, very clear about this difference. I'll also cover some more points in the next section of this unit. So I hope you are very, very clear with the difference between bookkeeping and accounting. So getting back to the objectives, first objective of accounting is to maintain a systematic record of transactions, which is nothing but bookkeeping. And then second objective of accountancy is to ascertain the financial performance of the business, which is nothing but ascertaining profit and loss situation. Third objective is ascertainment of financial position. Financial performance is different, financial position is different. Financial performance is profit and loss, your P&L account. Financial position is your assets, liabilities, and capital. It is the balance sheet position that also you would want to know. So the third objective of accounting is to ascertain the financial position of the business. And then we have two more. The fourth objective of accounts is to give information to users. Sir, why should we give information? Only when we give information to the users, they will be knowledgeable enough to take decisions. So that is why information sharing becomes very, very important. Otherwise, they will not be able to take any decisions. And the last objective is to know the solvency position. Sir, what do you mean by solvency position? Solvency position means analyzing whether a business has sufficient assets to repay the liabilities. I am repeating it again. Solvency position means analyzing whether a business has sufficient assets to repay its external liabilities. For example, assume there are two businesses, X Limited and Y Limited. Both of them have assets of, assume, 10,000 crores. Even X Limited and Y Limited, both of them have assets worth 10,000 crores. But what is the difference is, X Limited has a liability of 11,000 crores, whereas Y Limited, X Limited has a liability of 11,000 crores, whereas Y Limited has liabilities of 8,000 crores. Now, if you see, in case of X Limited, they only have assets worth of 10,000 crores. In that case, how will they be in a position to pay 11,000 crores of liabilities? They will not be in a position to pay. So X Limited will be called as insolvent or bankrupt. Insolvent or bankrupt. But if you see in the case of Y Limited, they have 10,000 crores of assets with which they can easily pay 8,000 crores of liabilities. So Y Limited is called as solvent. So to know this solvency position also, we need accounting, because only if we use accounting we can prepare balance sheet. Only using that balance sheet we will know assets and liabilities. Only with that we will be able to know the solvency position, able to understand. So there are 5 objectives of accounting. The 5 objectives of accounting are: 1 is systematic record of transactions, ascertainment of financial performance, ascertainment of financial position, to provide information to users, and to know the solvency position. So simple 5 marks question, you will be able to answer it very easily. So please ensure, sir, but should I learn everything here? Should I by heart from the first word to last word? See, first learn the side headings well. Especially, for example, use this word called ascertainment, use the word financial position, use the word financial performance. These type of jargons or certain technical words, use them as such. Inside you can write in your own words. It is enough if you are able to convey the meaning. But ensure you remember the side headings very well. Same way like how we used to study our 12th standard business studies or commerce subject. If you follow the same methodology here also, definitely in the first question 4 to 6 marks will be guaranteed for us. Okay. Next, moving on to the next section of this theory. Then there is something called as functions of accounting. Functions of accounting means because of accounting what all we can do. See guys, first we started with accounting definition. Then we saw what are all the steps involved in accounting definition. Then we saw what are the objectives or why this subject exists. Now there is something called as functions of accounting. Guys, please, when you are learning things also, please see the heading and learn. Okay, for example, tomorrow if they ask functions, you should not write objectives. Or if they ask objectives, you should not write functions. So ensure you are learning by seeing what you are actually learning. So functions means because of accounting what all gets enabled. What all is possible when accountancy is there. So what ICA says is, when accountancy is there, you will be able to measure all the financial position and also the performance of the business. In my view, this is very similar to objectives, but ICA has kept it as 2 separate headings. So I have also brought it here. So guys, remember, when ICA asks you objectives of accounting, ensure you write this so that it directly matches with their answer. We will also be able to get marks easily. When they ask functions of accounting, you can write these side headings. The first function is it facilitates measurement, which helps in analyzing the performance and position. It helps in forecasting. Sir, what do you mean by forecasting? Forecasting means projecting or estimating the future numbers. Now, when you assume you are giving financials for the financial year 2026, now using that financials, user will be able to do some kind of projection for the future. It may not be accurate, but directionally he will be able to project what will happen. Now for example, assume in financial year 25 and financial year 26, there is a business which made a revenue of 5,000 crores and 6,000 crores. Quickly, I'm just explaining how forecasting can be done. So assume you are telling in your financial statements that in financial year 25 revenue is 5,000 crores, financial year 26 the revenue is 6,000 crores. That means in 1 year your business has grown by 20%. Now the user can say, okay, last year they have grown by 20%. So that means directionally we can say that next year also it may grow by 20%. I am not telling the number will be perfect, but at least you will know where they can reach. Always remember, forecasting or projection may not be accurate to the last paise, but it will directionally give you a sense as to where this business will go in future. That to do that forecast, for past information is necessary. That past information is given only by accounting. So accounting helps in forecasting future performance by using the past data and analyzing the trends. Then accounting also helps in decision making by providing relevant information. Accounting also helps in comparison. We remember we would have learnt in class intra-firm comparison, inter-firm comparison. Sir, what is intra-firm? Inter-firm, quickly. Intra-firm means within the same business, over the years, you are comparing the financial performance. Inter-firm comparison means between different companies, between different businesses, you are doing the comparison. Such type of comparison is called as inter-firm comparison. All this comparison will be possible only because of accounting. Then there is something called control. Oh, sir, what is this control? Now, when you follow accounting, you will be able to prepare P&L balance sheet. With that, you will know where you are spending money, where you are losing money, so that you can now take decisions and exercise control. Exercising control means identifying wherever there is a weakness in your company in financial terms. And the weakness to find out that weakness, you will need financial data. Who will give that financial data? Accounting will give that financial data. So only when you know the weakness, you can control that weakness. So that control is also possible only because of accounting. And last, even it facilitates government regulation and taxation, because financial statements will give us profits, which will be the basis for calculating taxes. And also government will get a lot of necessary information also from your financial statements. These are functions of accounting. So clearer, see the heading also, and based on that I want you all to learn this. That's all. We almost reached there are 2-3 more topics in the first unit. Then there is bookkeeping. As I told you, bookkeeping is an activity which is concerned with recording of the data. It is mainly concerned only with recording or maintaining a record of transactions to understand what is the impact of all those transactions on the business. Please ensure you go through this italics one. Why? There is a reason why I converted into italics, because this was asked once in a true or false question in the past by ICA. That's why I've converted into italics, so that you will go through it once. And then we have difference between bookkeeping and accounting. I told you accounting is more of a clerical work. It is only concerned with recording, but bookkeeping is more of a clerical work. It is only concerned with recording, but accounting as a function has a broader scope. It helps in preparing financial statements. It helps in analyzing the business. It helps in taking decisions. Adalla through bookkeeping it is not possible. So there are these 6 small points that have been given. Please ensure you go through this also, so that any 6 marks straight question, differentiate between bookkeeping and accounting, draw one line in between, ensure write this 5-6 points, guaranteed marks will be given. Okay. Next we have subfields of accounting. Sir, first accounting definition, then objectives of accounting, then functions of accounting. First definition of accounting, adukaprom steps involved in accounting. After that, objectives of accounting. After that, functions of accounting. Now, subfields of accounting. Types of accounting, we would have learned this in class. There are 5 types of accounting: financial accounting, management accounting, cost accounting, social responsibility accounting, and human resource accounting. Very, very simple. Guys, what you are learning in CA Foundation is financial accounting, which is concerned with preparation, interpretation of financial statements, mainly with the objective to analyze the financial performance and financial position. So what you are learning is financial accounting. So then what is management accounting? Management accounting helps in preparation of reports that needs to be submitted to the internal management. Company kulla or internal management irukuma, those who will take decisions decisions for them. Whatever reports, financial reports you prepare, that process is called as management accounting. Then there is something called cost accounting, which is mainly concerned with calculation of a cost of a product or service. Now cost accounting is concerned mainly with calculation of cost of a product or service. And then there is social responsibility accounting and human resource accounting. These two right now exist only in theory. There is no practical application of these two yet. Sir, what is social responsibility accounting? Social responsibility accounting aims to account in the books of accounts your positives as well as negatives on the society front. அப்படின்னா என்ன சார்? இப்போ for example, assume there is a cement factory. That cement factory is helping in economic development. When you set up a cement factory, you are giving employment to a lot of people. You are manufacturing cement, selling the cement, increasing the income of the country in which you are setting up factory. Idallam plus from the economic angle. But on the society angle, you are creating pollution. So on the society angle, what all negatives you are doing, even what all positives you are doing. For example, the cement factory is constructing a school and giving free education. So the society side la nee positive pandra. அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பிசினஸ்னால what is the negative impact on society, what is the positive impact on society, அதையும் குவான்டிஃபை பண்ணி புக்ஸ்குள்ள கொண்டு வந்தா எப்படி இருக்கும் அப்படி நினைக்கிற அக்கௌண்டிங் தான் சோஷியல் ரெஸ்பான்சிபிலிட்டி அக்கௌண்டிங். தட்ஸ் வை ஐ டோல்ட் யூ திஸ் இஸ் நாட் yet in practice, it is only theory. Next one is human resource accounting. இது அதுக்கு மேல. Human resource accounting aims to quantify and record the value of human resources of a business. ஏன்னா one business has to run successfully now, we need human resources. Right now those human resources are not directly recorded in the books of accounts. So this human resource accounting is trying to quantify and account those human resources also. Even this is not yet in practice, it is only a theory point that you have to know for the exam perspective. So these are subfields of accounting: financial accounting, cost accounting, management accounting, social responsibility accounting, and human resource accounting. Next we have who are all the users of accounting information. Guys, if my memory, if I remember correctly, we would have learned this in 11th standard, so I don't know how many of you remember now, but same thing. Users of accounting information means whatever information accountancy is giving, who will be using that? Simple. One is investors, because they have given money to the business, so they should know how is the financial performance and financial position. So investors will be concerned about the accounting information. Then employees also will require accounting information. Sir, why do employees need accounting information, sir? Because they are working in this company. They should know whether the company is healthy, whether the company will be able to pay their salaries. If the company is running in losses, they may have to find another job quickly. So employees also will be interested in knowing the stability of the business. Then lenders, lenders பணம் கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. Investors will give money in the form of capital, lenders will give money in the form of borrowings or loans. They will also be interested to know the financial position and performance, because they have to evaluate whether this business has the capability to repay the loan that they have given. அதே மாதிரி suppliers and trade creditors also will be interested, because they are also supplying some products. They will be interested to evaluate whether you will be able to actually pay the money for the products or services. Same way, customers also will be interested, because customers should analyze the financial position and performance and see whether you will be able to actually supply the products and services to them. And adhe mari even government will be interested for taxation reasons and for other information. And also public at large will also be interested to see what is the contribution that this business is actually making to the economy. And obviously management will definitely be interested, because they have to take various managerial decisions based on this accounting information. So இப்படி வெச்சுக்கோ. Sir, how to remember users? First, யாரெல்லாம் பணம் கொடுத்திருப்பாங்க? Investors will give money. Investors and lenders. Okay. Who will work in that company? Employees. then who will supply goods to that company? Suppliers. To whom this company will give goods? To customers. So appove anju na vestom: investor, lender, employee, supplier, customer. Who will run this business? Management. Who will run the country? Government. And who will be there in the country? Public. So these 8, if you remember: investor, lender, employee, customer, supplier, management, government, public. These are the users of accounting information. So very, very simple one. So that's why I'm telling, I don't want my students to unnecessarily skip this thinking, ayyo theory accounts la only sums thane, why should I learn theory appdin pogada. Or 4 to 5 marks adu first question la kekran, compulsory question la last 3-4 attempts he is asking this very simple direct question. So I don't want my students to miss that. Next, limitations of accounting. Sir, idu variya day where we started: definition of accounting, steps involved in accounting, objectives of accounting, functions of accounting, subfields of accounting, users of accounting. Last one, limitations, disadvantages of accounting. Sir, accounts la disadvantage irka? Yes, there is a disadvantage. There are a lot of important factors which are ignored in accountancy just because it cannot be measured in terms of money. Sir, any one example? The best example is human resources in a company. For a company to run well, employees are very, very important. But since those employees cannot be measured in terms of money, that cannot be captured in accountancy. So there are certain non-monetary important factors for a business which is not captured in accounting. So that is one limitation. And also accounting gives only past information. It does not give any future information which users may be interested to know, because accounting is always concerned with the past. So that's why that is also one of the disadvantages of accounting. And accounting ignores changes in time value of money. Day max la padichirpalla time value, that inflation, present value, future value. Accounting ignores the time value of money. That is also one of the disadvantages. And in accounting, for certain areas, lot of personal judgment is required. For example, you would have learned something called as provision for doubtful debts. If you see that provision for doubtful debts, in few sums it will be 10% of debtors, in some sums it will be 5%. Sir, who will decide that percentage? It is only judgment. So அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பர்சனல் ஜட்ஜ்மெண்ட் இருக்கும்போது நான் என் இஷ்டத்துக்கு பண்ணலாம், எனக்கு பிடிச்சா 1% இல்ல 10%. ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி பர்சனல் ஜட்ஜ்மெண்ட்டும் இருக்கு. ஸோ தட் இஸ் ஆல்சோ ஒன் ஆஃப் தி லிமிடேஷன்ஸ். அண்ட் லாஸ்ட்லி, there are also different accounting policies for the treatment of same items. For example, inventories chapterல படிச்சிருப்ப, same inventory either FIFO யூஸ் பண்ணலாம் or weighted average யூஸ் பண்ணலாம். So இந்த மாதிரி different methods இருந்தா, one company may use FIFO, another company may use weighted average. Sir, so what sir? If two companies use different methods, you will not be able to compare. அப்போ comparability போயிடும். So that is also one of the limitations of accounting. Again, another direct question. Areas of service for an accountant. This has not been asked till now in the exam. So a chartered accountant can work in maintenance of books of accounts. He can work in statutory audit, internal audit, taxation work he can do. He can do management accounting. He can give financial advice. There are also a lot of other works that can be done, like company formation, cost audit, liquidation, or company moodabodhu kuda or chartered accountant theva, share registration. So in the matter, there are a lot of services which a chartered accountant can provide. So this is what is mainly covered in first unit. Okay, first unit la nariya direct questions kekra chance adhigam. Okay, especially steps involved in accounting, objectives of accounting, functions of accounting, subfields of accounting, limitations of accounting, users of accounting. These 6-7 topics can be directly tested in the exam. So ensure you at least you are very, very thorough with the side headings. Okay. Next, moving on to unit 2 in the first chapter in your book, which is on accounting concepts, principles and conventions. In this, see, there are 3 words: accounting concepts, principles, conventions. Okay, essentially all these 3 can be used interchangeably. Adana sir, interchangeably appadina or edathila innonu use pannalam. But what is this basically, sir? Accounting concepts, principles or conventions are nothing but ideas. These are ideas using which we will do accounting, or these are principles using which we will do accounting. For example, you would have learnt in accountancy, owner and business are same persons or different persons. Day September exam, you should know this. Owner and business, as far as accounting is concerned, accounting sees owner and business as a separate person. Adanala da in accounting you are showing capital under liabilities because you are liable to pay that money to the owner. Ipo இந்த மாதிரி owner business தனித்தனி பர்சனா பார்க்கணும் ஐடியா பண்றோமா, அந்த ஐடியா ஒரு accounting concept, அந்த ஐடியா ஒரு accounting principle, அந்த ஐடியா ஒரு accounting convention. So there are lot of ideas based on which we do accounting. So அந்த ஐடியாஸ் எல்லாத்துக்கும் நான் ஒரு overview கொடுத்திருக்கேன். This is also very important. They can ask separate questions. Write a short note on business entity concept அப்படினு கூட கேட்கலாம். Let us quickly go through these. First one is entity concept, or nothing but business entity concept. We all know owner and business are two separate persons. As far as accounting is concerned, all the transactions will be recorded only from business perspective. It is not concerned from the owner perspective. So ensure you are clearly writing this if they ask a short note. Then we have money measurement concept, which is also simple. In accounts, we know that only those transactions and events which can be measured in terms of money are only accounted. Those which cannot be measured in terms of money are ignored. So and the money la measure pannunu idea irukilla, and the idea ku per da money measurement concept. And then we have periodicity concept. Guys, periodicity concept also has a different name called as definite accounting period, because most of you may know periodicity. What ICA will do is they will say write a short note on concept of definite accounting period. Suddenly you will think that ayo, this is a new concept. No, this is an old concept only. That only you would have learned it as periodicity concept. Sir, what do you mean by this periodicity concept? Periodicity concept means the total life of the business is broken into several small periods, and at the end of each period you will ascertain the financial performance and position. Ipo or business can run for 100 years. You cannot say let the entire business get over, I will find out what is the financial performance and position. Then what is the use? You have to periodically or regularly measure the financial performance and position, correct? So அந்த ஐடியா இருக்குல்ல, ரெகுலரா பீரியாடிக்கா மெஷர் பண்ணணும், அந்த ஐடியாக்கு பேரு தான் periodicity concept. So periodicity conceptல the life of business is broken down into several small intervals of time. At the end of each interval we measure the financial performance and financial position. Generally this interval is 1 year. That's why we would have seen mostly every year we will prepare financial statements. Then we have accrual concept. All of you know, as per accrual concept, an income can be recorded only when you have delivered the goods or services, not when you have received cash. Same way an expense can be recorded only when you have received goods or services, not when you have paid cash. This is the core concept of accrual concept. And then matching concept. Matching concept simply says if you are recording some revenue, for that revenue whatever is the related expense sorry, if you are recording some revenue in your P&L, or if you are recording some sales in your P&L, if you are recording some sales in the P&L, and the sales ku related ஆன செலவு, all the costs that are related to that sales should also come in that P&L. This matching between revenue and cost is called as matching concept. All the expenses should be matched with the revenue that is being accounted in the P&L. Then we have next concept which is called as going concern. Guys, this is a very very important concept. It has been tested multiple times in the past. So going concern concept assumes that a business will continue in the foreseeable future. அப்படினா நீ ஒரு business audit, ஒரு business accounts போடும்போது, or when you are preparing accounts for a business, the underlying assumption is that this business will continue for a definite period. There is sorry, there is no intention to close the business in the foreseeable future. Sir, what is this foreseeable future? Foreseeable future means at least 12 months. அப்படினா ஒரு பிசினஸோட அக்கவுண்ட்ஸ் நீ ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ணும்போது it is assumed that this business will continue at least for the next 12 months. There is no intention to close the business. This assumption is very, very important. Sir, but now ஒரு பிசினஸ்க்கு அக்கவுண்ட்ஸ் போடுறேன், they want to close in the next 6 months, then this going concern concept is not valid. நீ going concern படி அக்கவுண்டே பண்ணக்கூடாது. You have to use an alternative basis called as liquidation basis. Please remember this, where the assumption that the business will continue in the foreseeable future is not valid. Sir, after 12 months this business will not continue, so going concern assumption is not valid, sir. Then you have to use an alternative assumption which is called as liquidation basis of accounting. Sir, what should I do in this liquidation basis of accounting? Gavani, all your assets will be measured at realizable value. Appadina enna sir? Realizable value means the money that you will get by selling these assets. In normally in our books we will record assets at sale value or cost. We will only show at cost. When going concern is valid, all the assets will be shown at historical cost. But if going concern assumption is not valid, and if you are moving to liquidation basis of accounting, then you have to show all the assets at their respective sale values. Sir, yes sir, in the mari sale values ku kondu varano. Why should we bring it to sale value? Because now you are going to close the business. If you are going to close the business, you are going to sell the assets, so you will get only sale values. That is why all the assets will be changed to realizable values, and all the liabilities will be measured at something called as settlement value. Please make a correction. Settlement value, it means the value at which you will settle those liabilities. So please, this was asked in one of the exams. Going concern assumption will be valid only if you assume, only if it is true that the business has the intention to continue for at least next 12 months. And the mari intention illana, then you cannot use going concern basis of accounting. You have to move to liquidation basis of accounting. As per liquidation basis of accounting, all assets should be measured at realizable values, and all the liabilities should be measured at settlement values. Cost concept is simple. Cost concept says that all the assets should be recorded at their acquisition cost. Acquisition cost means the cost at which we acquired those assets. So cost concept says all the assets should be recorded at their historical cost. Then we have a realization concept, not really very important. Realization concept says that you can record an asset value change only if you realize that. அப்படின்னா ஒரு அசட்டோட வேல்யூ சேஞ்ச் ஆகுது, அந்த வேல்யூ சேஞ்ச் ஆகுது நான் புக்ஸில் அக்கௌண்ட் பண்ணணும் சார். ஐ வாண்ட் டு அக்கௌண்ட் தட் சேஞ்ச் இன் வேல்யூ இன் த புக்ஸ் சார். Then you can account that change in value in the books only if you have actually received that change in value in cash. Otherwise you cannot record that change in value. That is what is mainly given by realization concept. Then we have dual aspect concept, which says that for every transaction, you all know, for every transaction we have two aspects. One is debit and credit, and always total debit should be equal to total credit. That's why our balance sheet also tallies, and we have an accounting equation: assets is equal to liabilities plus capital, where assets is total debit, liabilities and capital is total credit. And then we also have one more important concept called as conservatism or prudence. Another name of conservatism is prudence. This says that prudence or conservatism would have already learnt in various chapters. Conservatism says all anticipated losses, future edachu loss varapoduna, all anticipated losses should be accounted, but not anticipated gains. Future edachu loss varudhu therichna ad account paniko, but future edachu gain varuna, that should not be accounted. Adu future la eppo varumo appa account paniko. And mari thought process only called as conservatism or prudence. And this also, guys, conservatism concept leads to understatement of assets. அப்படின்னா என்ன சார், இப்போ ஃபியூச்சரில் ஒரு கெயின் வரும், ஓகே, ஃபியூச்சரில் ஒரு கெயின் வரப்போகுது, Will you account that? Will you account future anticipated gains? Appo you won't account that. Why you won't account that? Because of prudence concept. Appo prudence concept nala nee future la vara anticipated gains account pannala. So right now you are showing lesser assets than what it is. So please ensure you go through this in italics also. This was asked in one of the true or false questions. That's why I have converted this into italics. Then we have consistency. Consistency means that ipa consistency la enna solrana, whatever accounting policies or concepts you follow, ensure you follow them consistently. Sir appadina enna sir? For example, 1 year I'll follow FIFO sir, next year weighted average, aduk next year simple average, aduk next year LIFO. In the mari every year can I change as per my wish sir? If you keep changing like that, comparability will get affected. So accountancy says consistency is very important. Or policy ni adopt pandrena, ensure you stick to that policy. Sir appadina ipo na or policy select panta, does that mean I should not change at all? Appadino accountancy solla. Accountancy மாத்தவே கூடாதுன்னு சொல்ல. accountancy என்ன சொல்றானா, முடிஞ்ச அளவுக்கு மாத்தாது. அப்படியும் நீ மாற்றனா, if you are changing, then it should result in a better presentation of financial position and financial performance. Accountancy says as far as possible don't change the accounting policies, maintain consistency. But that doesn't mean changing is prohibited. You can change, but that change should be once in a while. That should result in better presentation. You cannot change every year, then you are not being consistent. If you are not being consistent, comparability will get affected. Okay, so this italics also is important. This also was asked in one of the true or false questions. Next, materiality. Very simple. Materiality concept says all material items, that is items which may have an impact on the decision making. Ipo or Reliance company, their sales is 1 lakh crores. Ipo in that company, if there is some mistake for 100 rupees, do you think they will be concerned? No. If there is some small expense for 100 rupees, is it necessary to show that separately in the financial statements? No. Because in a company like Reliance, 100 rupees is nothing. So what materiality principle says is, we have to focus on items which are material to the users, items which are important to the users, items which have an impact on the decision making of the users. Adhe Reliance company la or 50,000 crores may be a very important item that you have to tell to the users separately. And the mari material items mela focus pannu solra, adha accountancy is trying to tell. And what is materiality will differ from business to business. Tea kadekku 100 rupees material irukkalam, but for Reliance 100 rupees is not material. So all the accounting policies also we will apply only to material items. For example, tomorrow assume you are auditing Reliance company. In that Reliance company, they purchased one calculator for 1,000 rupees. Calculator is actually an asset. It is a tangible asset. It should be capitalized. But Reliance வந்து தப்பா என்ன பண்ணிட்டாங்க, அந்த 1,000 rupees calculator they charged it to P&L. Now what you should not say, ஐயோ Reliance has committed error of principle, எவ்வளவு பெரிய தப்பு பண்ணிட்டாங்க. Day 1,000 rupees is not even important. So you cannot say suddenly there's a violation of accounting. You should also see what is the amount, whether that is material. So accountancy says focus on material items, ensure you apply accounting policies properly for material items. I am okay whatever happens to the immaterial items. And then last one is full disclosure principle. Full disclosure principle says, accountancy says pa users ki ellathiyum disclose pannupa, ellathiyum na தேவலாதல இல்ல, all the material information. Accountancy says all the material information should be given to the users. No material information should be omitted from disclosure because it may affect the decision making of the users. Whatever I am repeating again, whatever I am given in italics has been somewhere asked in the past. That is why I have converted them to italics. Then we have something called as fundamental accounting assumptions, FA. Remember this, remember FA. Okay, so fundamental accounting assumptions, there are 3 fundamental accounting assumptions: going concern, consistency, accrual. These are fundamental accounting assumptions. அப்படினா என்னன்னா, இந்த assumptions நீ ஃபாலோ பண்றனா, அப்படி நீ ஃபாலோ பண்றேன்னு நீ அக்கவுண்ட்ஸ்ல ஃபினான்ஷியல் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்ஸ் சொல்ல வேண்டாம். It is assumed that everybody will follow this. These 3 are so fundamental, so basic that anybody who sees financial statements will understand that you are following these 3 principles. So that is why these are very fundamental to any accounting financial statements. So even though you don't write, people will assume that you are following. Anadi, if you are not following any one out of these three, you have to write that you are not following that. I am repeating, there are three fundamental accounting assumptions: going concern, consistency, accrual. These three assumptions, if you are following them, you need not write in the financial statements. But if you are not following them, you have to write in the financial statements that you are not following them. Ensure you just see this also. You should know tomorrow, suppose they ask, write a short note on fundamental accounting assumptions. That means you have to write a short note on going concern concept, consistency concept, and accrual concept, and also ensure you cover this line which is given in italics. Okay, then next topic is on qualitative characteristics of financial statements. Sir, what do you mean first by this financial statements, sir? Obviously, which is your financial statements is your P&L and balance sheet. So, sir, what should be the characteristics? அப்படினா ஒரு financial statements எப்படி இருக்கணும், என்னெல்லாம் financial statements ல இருக்கணும்? Okay, this is only for your memory purpose. Okay, so sir, how to remember this last minute, sir? September first week is our foundation exam. There is this much theory. How to remember this quickly? Okay, this is only for your memory purpose. I don't want you to extrapolate it anywhere. Okay, a financial statements should have all the characteristics of a lover. என்னது ஆமாண்டா டேய், okay, only for your memory, inge poidade inge iru. Okay, so financial statement should have all the characteristics of a lover. Sir, what do you mean by that? Just like how your lover should be understandable of you, financial statements also should be understandable. If you see the financial statements, you should be able to understand what it is trying to say. So a financial statement should be understandable. You should not write in some language which only you can understand. So first qualitative characteristics of financial statements is it should be understandable. Sir, யாருக்கு sir understandable இருக்கணும்? It should be understandable to the users. படிச்சோம்ல first unitல, investors, lenders, employees, customers, suppliers, and the usersக்கு it should be understandable. So first characteristic is financial statement should be understandable. Second one is financial statement should be relevant. அப்படினா என்ன sir? It should be relevant. அப்படினா it should give only that information which is material for your decision making. இப்போ ஒரு ரிலையன்ஸ் financial statements எடுத்து you cannot write about something which has only 100 rupees. That is not even material. That is not even relevant for anybody. But same thing, if suppose it is 1 lakh crores, then that item may be relevant. You have to write that in the financial statements. So financial statement should focus on material information, only then it will be relevant to the decision making. Only then financial statement will be relevant. Otherwise, if you start giving all the immaterial information, நினைச்சு பாரு, ஒரு ரிலையன்ஸ் கம்பெனி எல்லா 100 ரூபாய் செலவு பத்தியும் financial statements எழுதினாங்கன்னா, their financial statements will go to hundreds of pages. Nobody will read. It will lose its relevance. That is why they say financial statement should be relevant. Third characteristic is financial statement should be reliable. You should be able to depend on that. Okay, just as how your lover also should be reliable, a financial statement also should be reliable. Appadina it should be free from errors. You should not give some misleading information to the users. Or financial statements நீ கொடுக்கறனா users அதை நம்ப முடியணும். It should be free from all the errors. And the free from all the errors na reliability. Okay, material information கொடுக்கிறது relevance. அது கரெக்டா free from errors கொடுக்கிறது reliability. Okay, and ஒரு financial statements reliable இருக்கணும்னா we should ensure we follow these. Okay, one is called as faithful representation. அப்படினா எல்லாமே நியாயமா தர்மமா சொல்லணும். Okay, all the transactions and events should be faithfully, properly represented in the financial statements. No misleading statements, no wrong communication should be done in the financial statements. And then you should ensure that you are following substance over form. Okay, what is this, sir? Substance over form. Substance over form says that all the transactions and events should be recorded based on their economic substance, not based on their legal formalities. இப்போ அப்படின்னா என்ன சார்? இப்போ for example assume I am running a business. On 31st March morning I have purchased some goods. Okay, அந்த goods எல்லாம் என் கோடவுன்ல வந்துச்சு. 31st March அன்னைக்கே கோடவுன்ல வந்துச்சு. But that supplier gave me the bill only on 2nd April. என்னாச்சுன்னா 31st evening தான் goods வந்துச்சு. ஸோ சப்ளையர் டோல் உடனே எனக்கு இன்வாய்ஸ் கொடுக்க முடியாது, 2 நாள் வேணும்னு சொல்லி 31st 2nd April நீ தான் பில்லே கொடுத்தான். Now what do you think? 31st March அன்னைக்கே இந்த கூட்ஸ் அக்கவுண்ட் பண்ணுமா? இல்லப்பா லீகலா 2nd April தான்ப்பா பில்லு வந்திருக்கு. டேய் இங்க though legally you have got the bill on 2nd April, in substance, in economic substance, on 31st March itself you received the goods. On 31st March itself you became the owner of those goods. So you have to show those goods in your financial statements on 31st March itself. This is called as substance over form. This is very, very important. You will be applying this in intermediate and final as well. All the transactions in accounting should be accounted based on their economic substance, not based on the legal formalities. Then this says financial statement should be neutral. நியூட்ரல்னா எதுவுமே பயஸ் இருக்கக்கூடாது. ஓகே, யூ ஷுட் நாட் ஷோ ஒன்லி சம்திங், இது எனக்கு பிடிக்கும் இது மட்டும் காமிக்கிறேன், எனக்கு பிடிக்காது இது நான் காமிக்க மாட்டேன், அந்த மாதிரிலாம் இல்லாமல் ஒரு நியூட்ரலாக யூ ஷுட் பி ஃப்ரீ ஃப்ரம் ஆல் தி பர்சனல் பயாஸ் அண்ட் கிவ் தி ஃபினான்ஷியல் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்ஸ். அண்ட் தென் வைல் ப்ரிப்பேரிங் ஃபினான்ஷியல் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்ஸ் யூ ஹேவ் டு ஃபாலோ ப்ரூடன்ஸ் ஆர் கன்சர்வேட்டிசம். அண்ட் த ஃபினான்ஷியல் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட் ஷுட் பி கம்ப்ளீட். இட் ஹாஸ் டு கவர் ஆல் தி மெட்டீரியல் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன். நீ பாட்டுக்கு சார் P&L ஒன்லி சேல்ஸ் மட்டும் தான் கொடுக்கலான்னு இருக்கேன், எக்ஸ்பென்சஸை விட்டுலான்னு இருக்கேன், இந்த மாதிரி பாதி ஃபினான்ஷியல் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்ஸாக கொடுக்கக்கூடாது. யூ ஹேவ் டு என்ஷூர் தட் இட் கவர்ஸ் கம்ப்ளீட்லி ஆல் த மெட்டீரியல் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன். ஸோ இப்போ வரைக்கும் 3 குவாலிட்டேட்டிவ் கேரக்டரிஸ்டிக்ஸ் பார்த்தோம். ஒன்று, இட் ஷுட் பி அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டபிள், இட் ஷுட் பி ரெலவெண்ட், இட் ஷுட் பி ரிலையபிள், அண்ட் தென் இட் ஷுட் ஆல்சோ பி கம்பேரபிள். ஒரு ஃபினான்ஷியல் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்ஸ் கொடுக்குறேன்னா users should be able to compare either with other businesses or they should be able to compare with the performance of the past periods. இந்த மாதிரி comparability நீ allow பண்ணலனா then that financial statements is waste, no use. So a financial statement should also be comparable, understandable, relevance, reliability, comparable. These are the qualitative characteristics of financial statements. This also ensure you know the side headings well. Day first side heading understandable. And the lover example lambisko lover should be understandable, that lover should be relevant, reliable. Reliable irukkonumna adu keela faithful representation, neutral, neutrality, prudence, completeness, substance over form. இதெல்லாமே இருந்தாதான் you can say financial statement is reliable. Sometimes ICA may ask this 5 points alone as a separate question also. They have done that in the past. So reliability in ஒரு point, qualitative characteristics are important, and the last qualitative characteristic is it should be comparable. So with this we are done with second unit also. All other units we can quickly finish. We'll have less load of theory. Okay, so the third unit is capital and revenue expenditure and receipts. This also has been tested several times in your past examination. This has also come lot of times in true or false questions as well. See, remember very clearly, revenue expenditure means expenditure incurred whose benefit will get consumed within the same accounting period. அதே accounting periodல அதோட பெனிஃபிட்டும் நீ என்ஜாய் பண்ணிட்ட அப்படின்னா அது ரெவென்யூ எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர். இல்ல சார் I will get benefit in multiple years, then that is a capital expenditure. Keep this concept very clear. Revenue expenditure na adoda benefit will not go to the next year, you will consume everything in the current year itself. Capital expenditure na benefit extends to the subsequent years, so that will go to balance sheet. Capital expenditure will always go to asset side of the balance sheet, and then revenue expenditure will go to P&L. Now which ko clear ah. For example, nee vandu ஒரு எம்ப்ளாயி உனக்கு இந்த வருஷம் 2 months ஒர்க் பண்ணிருக்கான். அந்த 2 monthsக்கு you are paying salary. Now whatever salary you have paid, for that you have already consumed the benefit, so that is a revenue expenditure. Assume you are buying a camera. camera will give you benefit for multiple years. So whatever money you have spent on buying that camera, that is a capital expenditure which will go to balance sheet. Sir, in the capital revenue எப்படி கண்டுபிடிக்கணும், how to distinguish, அதுக்கு சில considerations கொடுத்திருக்கா. Fortunately or unfortunately, this has also been asked once in the past question papers. So what are the conditions na nature of business, ஏனா business oda nature பொறுத்து இருக்கும் ஒரு capital expenditure or revenue expenditure. For example, if I am in a business of buying buildings and selling buildings, இப்போ நான் ஒரு building வாங்கி அந்த building வித்துட்டேன், அப்ப அதோட benefit எனக்கு இந்த வருஷமே முடிஞ்சிச்சா, அப்ப அந்த பில்டிங்க்கு நான் செலவு பண்ண அமௌண்ட் எல்லாமே ரெவென்யூ எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர் P&L போடும். பட் அதுவே என் பிஸ்னஸ் வேற பிஸ்னஸ் அவன் எப்படி பண்றான்னா, பில்டிங்கை வாங்கி அவனோட பிஸ்னஸ்ல மல்டிபிள் இயர்ஸ்க்கு யூஸ் பண்றான். அப்போ அந்த மாதிரி நேச்சர் ஆஃப் பிஸ்னஸ்ல பில்டிங்க்கு பண்ண செலவு will give benefit over multiple years, that will become a capital expenditure. So whether a particular expense is revenue expenditure or capital expenditure depends on the nature of business, depends on the frequency. Generally எப்பவுமே இருக்காது, generally revenue expenditures will be incurred more frequently compared to capital expenditure. Capital expenditure will not be done very frequently. Also it depends on the purpose of the expense. Expenses which are incurred to maintain the assets in the current state. இப்போ உன்கிட்ட ஒரு வண்டி இருக்கு, அந்த வண்டி ரெகுலரா சர்வீசிங்லாம் பண்ணிட்டு இருப்பியா, அந்த சர்வீசிங் பண்றதுனால திடீர்னு உனக்கு பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் ஏதாச்சும் அதிகமாக வருமா? இல்லை சார், நார்மலாக எப்படி ஓடுமோ அப்படி ஓடும். அந்த மாதிரி ஓடுறதுக்கு நான் மெயின்டைன் பண்ணணும்னா அந்த சர்வீசிங் பண்ணி தான் ஆகணும். அப்போ சர்வீசிங் பண்றது is only maintaining benefits, it is not increasing the benefits. So such type of expenses are called as revenue expenditure. பட் அதுவே அந்த வண்டிக்கு திடீர்னு வந்து அசியூம் டயரை மாத்திருக்க, இல்லை சைலன்சரை மாத்திருக்க, இந்த மாதிரி பண்ணால் அதோட பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகும். அந்த மாதிரி எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர்ஸ் ஆர் கால்ட் as capital expenditure. Remember clearly, any expenditure incurred for maintaining the benefits is revenue expenditure. Any expenditure incurred which will increase the benefits from the assets is called as capital expenditure. Same way, any expense which generates revenue during the current period, then it is a revenue expenditure. Sir, நான் இந்த செலவு பண்ணிட்டேன் and அந்த செலவுக்கான ரெவென்யூ இந்த வருஷமே வந்துச்சு, அப்போ அது ரெவென்யூ எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர். எனி எக்ஸ்பென்ஸ் which is incurred now but generates revenue in the future, ஃபியூச்சர்ல தான் சார் இதனால ரெவென்யூ வரும் அப்படின்னா then that is a capital expenditure. And also materiality is a consideration. Sometimes என்ன ஆகும்னா சில கேபிட்டல் எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர்ஸ் பண்ணுவோம், பட் அது மெட்டீரியலாக இருக்காது. ஸோ அதை ரெவென்யூ எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சராக மாற்றி P&L போட்டுருவோம். இப்போ தான் நான் சொன்னேன் மெட்டீரியலாக இல்லைன்னு எதை வேணா பண்ணிக்கலாம். Suppose Reliance Limited purchase a calculator for 1000 rupees. Actually calculator is a capital expenditure because you can use it for multiple years. But 1000 rupees நீ வந்து balance sheet ல கொண்டு போய் அதை depreciate பண்ணி all this, why should you do? So that is why even though it's a capital expenditure, since it is not material, we can treat it as revenue expenditure. So materiality is also a factor that decides whether a particular expenditure is revenue or capital. So ensure you know these side headings clearly. This can also be a separate 5 marks question. Then guys, the important part, I have listed down all the examples which ICI has questioned in the past papers. Now past papers la paathu ICI என்னெல்லாம் கேட்டிருக்கானோ அது எல்லாத்தோட எக்ஸாம்பிள்ஸும் நான் இங்கே கீழே கொடுத்துட்டேன். ப்ளீஸ் என்ஷூர் யூ கோ த்ரூ தீஸ் எக்ஸாம்பிள்ஸ் பிஃபோர் த எக்ஸாம் அண்ட் கோ, ஸோ தட் எனி ட்ரூ ஆர் ஃபால்ஸ் கொஸ்டின் யூ வில் பி ஏபிள் டு ஆன்சர் இட் ஈஸிலி. ஸோ ப்ளீஸ் கோ த்ரூ தீஸ் லிஸ்ட் ஆஃப் எக்ஸாம்பிள்ஸ். I have picked all these from past questions. Definitely you should go through these once before the exam and go. Same way for expenditure, like how we have for receipts also, we have capital receipts and revenue receipts. Capital receipts means any receipt which will increase the liability or decrease the asset. எப்பவுமே உனக்கு ஒரு காசு வருது, அதனால எய்தர் உன் லைபிலிட்டி ஏறுது or உன் asset குறையிறது, அப்படின்னா அது capital receipt. Sorry, any example sir? For example, you are borrowing loan, you will receive money. Now when you receive this money, your liability increases, so this is a capital receipt. Assume you are selling a plant and machinery, now you will receive money for that. Now because of that there will be a decrease in asset, so this is a capital receipt. So all such type of receipts where there is an increase in liability or decrease in asset, that is called as capital receipts. You would have seen this several times in chapter called as NPO. So in the capital receipts I have given you clear examples here. Please go through these examples. This will help you in true or false questions. Borrowing a loan, proceeds from sale of fixed assets, premium received from issue of shares, amount received from maturity of fixed deposits, any capital contributions made by owner, insurance compensation received from loss of fixed assets. Guys, please ensure you go through this. This has been asked several times in the past. In the question bank நீ பார்த்தா நிறைய வாட்டி இந்த question கேட்டிருப்பான். So any insurance compensation that is received from loss of fixed assets, that is a capital receipt. But same insurance compensation received for loss of goods is a revenue receipt. Remember, fixed asset loss ஆனதுக்கு insurance compensation கிடைச்சா அது capital receipts. Goods loss ஆனதுக்கு insurance compensation கிடைச்சா அது revenue receipt. And also any entrance fees that is received by NPO will also be a capital receipt. So please ensure you go through these examples properly of both capital receipts and revenue receipts. Definitely it will help you in your true or false questions. Then moving on to the next unit, contingent assets and contingent liability. Guys, this has also been asked several times in the past. See, I'll give you a framework. Okay, see, there are two types of obligations. Guys, I would have taught this in detail in a chapter called partnership when I was teaching reserves. There are two types of obligations: present obligation and possible obligation. Okay, quickly I'll give a summary. Present obligation means where the possibility of that obligation or the probability of that obligation is greater than 50%. நீ அந்த obligation settle பண்ற chance is more than 50%, then it becomes a present obligation. Possible obligation means the chance of that obligation occurring is less than or equal to 50%. Less than or equal to 50%. Sir, புரிஞ்சிச்சு சார். அப்போ probability of an obligation, if it is more than 50%, it becomes a present obligation. If the probability of an obligation is less than or equal to 50%, then it becomes a possible obligation. Sir, இப்போ இது எங்களுக்கு எதுக்கு சார் சொல்றேன் கவனி. present obligation இருக்குன்னா, suppose there is an obligation that is a present obligation. அந்த present obligation தான் can be called as a liability. Possible obligations cannot be called as liabilities. Sir, அப்போ நான் என்னோட பேலன்ஸ் ஷீட்ல பார்க்குற liabilities எல்லாமே present obligations. ஆமா, only when it is a present obligation you can call it as a liability. அந்த liability குள்ள if there is an estimation involved, then that liability will be called as provision. Okay sir, appo to call it as a liability or provision, first it should be a present obligation. Sir, I have an obligation, it is a possible obligation. Then what is that, sir? If it is a possible obligation, it becomes a contingent liability. Now which go all possible obligations will be contingent liabilities. Sir, in the contingent liabilities kenna sir journal entry? Contingent liabilities ku no journal entry. Journal entry will not be passed in the books of accounts. Adu balance sheet kulla varadu. Sir, appo adu enga sir kaamipom? Financial statements or para English எழுதுவோம். It will only be disclosed in the financial statements. There will not be any journal entry for contingent liabilities. Please be very, very clear with this. He may ask in a true or false question. All liabilities are present obligations. In the same way, all possible obligations are contingent liabilities. There is no journal entry for contingent liability. A contingent liability will only be disclosed in the financial statements. It will not, no journal entry will be passed. It can never come inside the balance sheet. Okay va? And now unakku clear up inga contingent liabilities ku examples kuda kuduthirken. Or what in the examples paathuko, it may help you in any true or false questions. Sir, இப்போ அதே மாதிரி contingent assetனா என்ன சார்? Contingent asset means a possible asset which may come or may not come. Sir, example sir, assume you have filed a case on somebody. Now can you say, sir, I will definitely receive compensation? No, depends on the judgment. May come or may not come. So if something may come or may not come in future, if that benefit is uncertain, then that uncertain asset is only called as contingent asset. Contingent asset. Contingent asset ku no journal entry, no disclosure also. Please now, which kuda contingent liability ku no journal entry, but it will be disclosed in the books. Contingent asset ku no journal entry, no disclosure also in the books of accounts. This second para becomes important. Okay, sorry, second para illa, third para, my bad. This third para point becomes important. A contingent asset should not be recorded also. It should not be disclosed also in the financial statements. So please ensure you are clear with the difference between liability and contingent liability, and also you clearly know what is contingent asset. Now which ko contingent liability no journal entry, only disclosure. Contingent asset ko no journal entry also, no disclosure also in the financial statements. Then moving on to unit 5, accounting policies. This romba kutti unit, very simple unit. Accounting policies, na sonnala accounting policies are nothing but principles which are followed in preparation and presentation of financial statements. Or financial statements prepare பண்றதுக்கு நீ என்ன ஐடியாஸ் பிரின்சிபல்ஸ்லாம் ஃபாலோ பண்றல்ல, அதுக்கு பேர் தான் அக்கவுண்டிங் பாலிசி. ஓகே, ஒரு அக்கவுண்டிங் பாலிசி, எந்த அக்கவுண்டிங் பாலிசி செலக்ட் பண்ணணும்னு டிசிஷன் எடுக்கும்போது இந்த 3 factors you should consider. Sir, what are the 3 factors? Prudence or conservatism, you should consider substance over form, and you should also consider materiality. இந்த side headings ஒரு வாட்டி பார்த்துக்கோ, this is also important. சார் எங்கெல்லாம் நம்ம இந்த மாதிரி அக்கௌண்டிங் பாலிசி செலெக்ஷன்லாம் பண்ணுவோம் சார்? இன்வென்ட்ரி வேல்யூஷனில் FIFO செலக்ட் பண்ணுமா, வெயிட் ஆவரேஜ் செலக்ட் பண்ணுமா, தட் இஸ் ஆல்சோ அக்கௌண்டிங் பாலிசி. அதே மாதிரி இஃப் ரிமெம்பர் யூ ஹவ் லேர்ன்ட் இன் டெப்ரிசியேஷன் சாப்டர், காஸ்ட் மாடல், ரீவேல்யூவேஷன் மாடல், அதுவும் ஒரு அக்கௌண்டிங் பாலிசி தான். ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய அக்கௌண்டிங் பாலிசிஸ் இருக்குல்ல, அதில் எது சூஸ் பண்ணணும்னு நீ டிசிஷன் எடுக்கிறதுக்கு தீஸ் ஃபேக்டர்ஸ் ஷுட் பி கன்சிடர்டு. ப்ரூடன்ஸ், சப்ஸ்டன்ஸ் ஓவர் ஃபார்ம், மெட்டீரியாலிட்டி. சம்டைம்ஸ் இதுவும் ஒரு தனியாக 3 marks கொஷனாக கேன் பி டெஸ்டட். ஸோ தட்ஸ் வை ஜஸ்ட் கோ த்ரூ தீஸ் சைட் ஹெட்டிங்ஸ். சார், ஒரு அக்கௌண்டிங் பாலிசியை மாற்றலாமா? an accounting policy can be changed only if the following conditions are satisfied. எப்போ சார் மாற்றலாம்? இஃப் சம் law is requiring you to change. சார், இந்த மாதிரி லா மாறிச்சு, கம்பெனிஸ் ஆக்ட் வந்து என்ன சொல்லிட்டாங்க, இனிமேல் ஆல் கம்பெனி ஷுட் யூஸ் ஒன்லி FIFO. ஸோ நான் இப்போ வெயிட்டட் ஆவரேஜ் யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன், இந்த மாதிரி கம்பெனிஸ் ஆக்ட் சொல்லனால FIFOக்கு மாறுறேன், அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு லா சொல்லியோ ஒரு அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் சொல்லியோ நீ மாத்திரனா மாற்றலாம். பட் நீயா மாத்திரனா it should result in better presentation. Remember, only in 2 situations accounting policy can be changed. Situation number 1, it is required by some statute or accounting standard. Situation number 2, if you are changing on your own, it should result in better presentation. ஒரு வாட்டி ஒரு எக்ஸாம்ல definition, characteristics, when it can be changed, இது 3 டாபிக்குமே 4 marks கேட்டான். So easy ஆச்சலாம். Just go through this, you'll be able to definitely score marks. Okay, next இன்னும் ரெண்டு யூனிட் தான் டக்குன்னு முடிச்சிடலாம். there are 2 units. unit 6 is talking about measurement. so measurementனா என்ன? simple da. measurement means assigning a value to something. for example, I am using a tab. Okay, in the tab if I assign a value, this tab is costing 40,000, then I'm measuring this tab in terms of money. So in accounting, all the transactions and events are measured in terms of money. So that is only called as measurement. Measurement means assignment of numbers to any object or event or transaction. In the definition already பார்த்துக்கோ, ஒரு வாட்டி கேட்டிருக்கோம். Okay, then there are certain basic elements of measurement. அப்படின்னா என்ன சார்? இப்போ ஒரு மெஷர்மெண்ட் பண்ணணும்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எதை மெஷர் பண்ணணும்னு தெரியணும். மெஷர் பண்ண எதை மெஷர் பண்ணணும்னு கிளியரா சொல்லணும். ஸோ யூ ஷுட் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஐடென்டிஃபை த டிரான்சாக்ஷன் ஆர் ஆப்ஜெக்ட் ஆர் ஈவென்ட் தட் யூ வாண்ட் டு மெஷர். தென் எதுல சார் மெஷர் பண்ணணும்? இப்போ ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இந்த டேப் இருக்குல்ல, இந்த டேபை எப்படி வேணா மெஷர் பண்ணலாம். அது எப்படி சார் எப்படி வேணா மெஷர் பண்ணலாம்? இப்போ somebody says measure this tab, அப்படின்னா I can say in 2 ways. This tab is 2 kgs. அது அப்படி சொன்னாலும் மெஷர்மெண்ட் தான். This tab is costing 40,000, அப்படி சொன்னாலும் அது மெஷர்மெண்ட் தான். ஸோ ஃபஸ்ட்டு யாராச்சும் உன்னை மெஷர் பண்ணுன்னு கேட்டா எந்த யூனிட்ல மெஷர் பண்ணும்? இந்த மாதிரி கேஜிஸ்ல மெஷர் பண்ணுமா, பணத்துல மெஷர் பண்ணுமா? ஸோ யூ ஹேவ் டு கிளியர்லி ஐடென்டிஃபை த ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் இன் விச் யூ வாண்ட் டு மெஷர். அக்கௌண்டன்சில ஆப்வியஸா எனக்கு இது 2 kg இருந்தா என்ன 3 kg இருந்தா என்ன, அக்கௌண்டன்சிக்கு எது இம்பார்ட்டன்ட்? 40,000 தான் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். டே ஓ அக்கௌண்டன்சில 2 kg இந்த டேபுக்கு வேற ஜர்னல் என்ட்ரி, 3 kg இந்த டேபுக்கு வேற ஜர்னல் என்ட்ரி. அப்படிலாம் கிடையாது. அக்கௌண்டன்சிக்கு இந்த கேஜி, கிராம், லிட்டர்லாம் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் கிடையாது. மணி இஸ் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். ஸோ அக்கௌண்டன்சில மெயின் மெஷர்மெண்ட் யூனிட் இஸ் மணி. ஸோ இந்த பேசிக் எலிமெண்ட்ஸ் ஆஃப் மெஷர்மெண்ட் மட்டும் என்ஷூர் யூ கோ த்ரூ. இதுவும் ஒரு வாட்டி எக்ஸாம்ல கேட்டிருக்கோம். சரி, இப்போ ஒரு அசெட்டோ லைபிலிட்டியோ மெஷர் பண்ணணும்னா there are different measurement bases. Okay, these are called as generally accepted measurement bases. என்னலாம் சார், ஒரு அசெட் நீ டிஃப்ரெண்ட் யூனிட்ஸ்ல நீ மெஷர் பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்னா என்ன சார்? இப்போ ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் let me explain you through an example. Assume there is a plant and machinery. You purchase this plant and machinery for 1 lakh. Okay, and in the plant and machinery you have used it for 2 years. Now whatever 1 lakh you have spent, that is called as historical cost or acquisition cost. So அந்த 1 lakh நீ செலவு பண்ணிருக்கல்ல, அதுக்கு பேரு historical cost or acquisition cost. Now 2 years ஓவரா, இன்னைக்கு ஒரு புது டேப் வாங்கணும்னா அதுக்கு ஒரு காஸ்ட் இருக்குமா? அஸ்யூம் இன்னைக்கு நீ ஒரு புது டேப் வாங்கணும்னா it will cost 1.5 lakhs. Then that is called as current cost. டே ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோ, historical costனா நீ முன்னாடி வாங்கும்போது என்ன செலவு பண்ணியோ அது historical cost. Current cost means today to buy the same asset how much you have to spend, that is called as current cost. Then there is something called as realizable value. Realizable value னா என்னன்னா, இந்த 2 வருஷம் டேப் இருக்குல்ல, இது எனக்கு வித்தா எவ்வளவு கிடைக்கும், சேல் வேல்யூ, that is called as realizable value. டே இந்த plant and machinery நீ ஒரிஜினலா எவ்வளவுக்கு வாங்கின, that is called as historical cost. Today if you want to buy, how much you have to spend, that is called as current cost. Today if you sell this tab, how much you will get, that is called as realizable value. And last one, present value. அப்படின்னா என்னன்னா, இதில் நம்ம என்ன பண்ணுவோம்னா, இந்த plant and machinery இருக்கா, from this plant and machinery I will estimate how much future cash flows I can get. அந்த future cash flows present value பண்ணி add பண்ணா that value is called as present value. அப்போ ஒரு அசெட்டோ லைபிலிட்டியோ 4 விதமா மெஷர் பண்ணலாம். historical cost, current cost, realizable value, present value. சார் பட் எதுக்கு எது யூஸ் பண்ணணும்னு யார் சொல்லுவாங்க சார்? நீ எப்போ ஹிஸ்டாரிக்கல் காஸ்ட் யூஸ் பண்ணணும், எப்போ கரண்ட் காஸ்ட் யூஸ் பண்ணணும், எப்போ ரிலேட்டிவ் வேல்யூ யூஸ் பண்ணணும், எப்போ ப்ரெசென்ட் வேல்யூ யூஸ் பண்ணணும்னு சொல்லி அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் வில் சே. தீஸ் ஆர் த 4 ஆப்ஷன்ஸ் தட் ஆர் அவைலபிள். எதை யூஸ் பண்ணணும்னு சொல்லி அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் தான் வில் சே. அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் இன் மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் த கேசஸ் வில் ஒன்லி கோ வித் ஹிஸ்டாரிக்கல் காஸ்ட். நம்ம அக்கௌண்டன்சி வில் ஒன்லி மோஸ்ட்லி ரிலை ஆன் ஹிஸ்டாரிக்கல் காஸ்ட். ஸோ இஃப் தே ஆஸ்க் யூ அ கொஸ்டின் ஆன் generally accepted measurement basis, ensure you write these 4 things. Then we have our last unit, accounting standards. You all know these accounting standards you will be learning in depth in internal நம்மளோட சிலபஸே மெயினா accounting standards தான். Sir, what is this accounting standards? Accounting standards is a written policy document. இது ஒரு டாக்குமெண்ட். யார் சார் இஷ்யூ பண்றா? அக்கவுண்டிங் பாடி. இன் அவர் கண்ட்ரி இஸ் இஷ்யூட் பை ICAI. சார் மெயின்லி இந்த அக்கவுண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் என்ன சார் கவர் பண்ணுவாங்க? எப்படி ரெகக்னைஸ் பண்ணணும், அப்படின்னா எப்படி என்ட்ரி பாஸ் பண்ணணும், எப்படி மெஷர் பண்ணணும், எப்படி பேலன்ஸ் ஷீட் P&L காமிக்கணும், எப்படி ஃபினான்ஷியல் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்ஸ்ல டிஸ்க்ளோஸ் பண்ணணும். மெயின்லி அக்கவுண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் டீல் வித் ரெகக்னிஷன், அப்படின்னா ஹவு டு பாஸ் ஜர்னல் என்ட்ரி, மெஷர்மெண்ட் அந்த வேல்யூ எப்படி கண்டுபிடிக்கணும், பிரசன்டேஷன் பேலன்ஸ் ஷீட் P&L எப்படி காமிக்கணும், டிஸ்க்ளோஷர் அப்படின்னா ஃபினான்ஷியல் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்ஸ் நோட்ஸ் டு அக்கௌண்ட்ஸ்ல எப்படி டிஸ்க்ளோஸ் பண்ணணும். இந்த 4 ஆஸ்பெக்ட்ஸ் தான் ஆர் மேஜர்லி கவர்ட் பை அன் அக்கவுண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட். டே இதுவே ஒரு தனி தியரி கொஸ்டினா கேட்கலாம். ரைட் த ஏரியாஸ் தட் ஆர் டெல்ட் பை அக்கவுண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட். சிம்பிள், ரெகக்னிஷன், மெஷர்மெண்ட், பிரசன்டேஷன், டிஸ்க்ளோஷர். 4 மார்க் ஜாலியாக வந்துடும். ஓகே, ஸோ அக்கவுண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் டீல் வித் ரெகக்னிஷன், measurement, presentation and disclosure. சார் ஏன் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ்லாம் கொண்டு வந்தாங்க, வாட் இஸ் த அப்ஜெக்டிவ் ஆஃப் அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ்? இந்த மாதிரி அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் இருந்தா everybody will follow this so that comparability will be there. Accounting standards illana each one will follow what they want. Appa if each one follows what they want, there won't be any comparability. So when you bring accounting standards, it helps in standardizing the accounting practices so that comparability will come, and also it will give a standard set of rules that people can follow. This is the main objective of accounting standards. Obviously sir, in the accounting standards nala enna sir benefits? Accounting standards nala main benefits it helps in standardization. Sometimes accounting standards says you have to give more disclosures in the financial statements. Sir, financial statements நிறைய disclosure கொடுத்தா என்ன சார் யூஸ்? யூசர்ஸ்க்கு நிறைய information கிடைக்கும். So sometimes accounting standards helps in standardization. Sometimes accounting standards may mandate giving more information which will help the users, and also accounting standards will help in comparison. ஏன்னா accounting standards will bring standardization. Standardization, the comparison will become possible. These are benefits of AS. So you will be learning all this AS in depth in your CA intern. அதே மாதிரி ஏதாச்சும் பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் இருந்தா டிராபேக்ஸும் இருக்கும். வாட் ஆர் த லிமிடேஷன்ஸ் சார்னா, சம்டைம்ஸ் அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ்லேயே தேர் வில் பி மல்டிபிள் ஆப்ஷன்ஸ் கிவன் டு யூ. இப்போ ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இன்வென்ட்ரிஸ் இருக்குல்ல, நீ படித்த இன்வென்ட்ரிஸ் சாப்டர், ஆக்சுவலி நீ அது சாப்டராக படிச்சிருக்க, பட் தட் இஸ் அன் அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட், தட் இஸ் AS2. இப்போ அதுலேயே பார்த்தா உனக்கு ஆப்ஷன் இருக்கு, எய்தர் யூ கேன் கோ வித் FIFO ஆர் யூ கேன் கோ வித் வெயிட்டட் ஆவரேஜ். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி சம்டைம்ஸ் அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ்லேயே ஆப்ஷன் கொடுத்தா அப்போ ஸ்டாண்டர்டைசேஷன் வராது. So sometimes you are allowed to make choice between different treatments, so there may not be standardization. அதே மாதிரி சம்டைம்ஸ் அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ்க்கு ஸ்கோப் ரொம்ப ரெஸ்ட்ரிக்டட். அப்படின்னா என்னன்னா, அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் பெருசா இல்லை லா பெருசானா லா தான் பெருசு. எப்பவுமே லா வில் ஓவர் ரைட் த அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ். ஒரு லா மீறி அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ்னால பேச முடியாது. ஸோ தீஸ் டூ ஆர் மெயின் லிமிடேஷன்ஸ் ஆஃப் அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ். இது வந்து நார்மல் தியரி. சார் இந்தியாவில் எப்படி சார் அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் செட் பண்ணுவா, யார் சார் செட் பண்ணுவா? இந்த ஐசிஏக்குள்ள ஒரு போர்டு இருக்கு. போர்டுனா குரூப் ஆஃப் பீப்புள் கால்ட் அஸ் ASB, அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் போர்டு. இவங்க என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஏதாச்சும் ஒரு டாபிக் செலக்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க. அந்த டாபிக்கு தே வில் ப்ரிப்பேர் அ ப்ரிலிமினரி டிராஃப்ட். அப்படின்னா அது இன்னும் ஃபைனல் கிடையாது, ஒரு டிராஃப்ட் டாக்குமெண்ட் ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ணி அது எல்லாருக்கும் அனுப்புவாங்க. Okay, for example, ICA wants to create a new accounting standard. First they will write a draft, then they will send it to all CS. They will say இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு புது அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் ஃபார்முலேட் பண்ணலாம்னு இருக்கோம், அதுக்கு ஒரு டிராஃப்ட் இருக்கு, you read and give your comments. Then based on whatever comments we give, if they think that some changes should be made, they will make those changes. Then it will be officially launched in the gazette. Sorry, then it will go for, இப்போ ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஐசிஏ இருக்குல்ல, ஐசிஏ ஒரு ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் இஷ்யூ பண்ணா அதுக்கு ஒரு டிராஃப்ட் எழுதுவோம். அந்த டிராஃப்ட் இட் வில் சர்க்குலேட் டு ஆல் த CAs, industry experts. They will give their comments. Those comments will be considered. Once those comments are considered, they will prepare a final draft, and the final draft கொடுத்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் they will give it to MCA. MCA notify. MCA na யார் சார்? டே லால படிச்சிருப்பீங்க, மினிஸ்ட்ரி ஆஃப் கார்பரேட் அஃபேர்ஸ். அந்த MCA இந்த ஸ்டாண்டர்டை கம்பெனிஸ் ஆக்ட்ல நோட்டிஃபை பண்ணாதான் it becomes mandatory for companies. Now which go for companies, accounting standards are issued by MCA. MCA சொன்னாதான் accounting standards companiesக்கு mandatory ஆகும், otherwise it is not mandatory for companies. இன்னும் ஒண்ணே மட்டும் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோ, for other than companies, accounting standards are issued by ICA. டே இது வந்து ஒரு பாஸ்ட் கொஸ்டின்ல கேட்டிருக்கான். என்னன்னா இப்படி ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோ, கம்பெனிஸ்க்கு MCA சொன்னாதான் accounting standards will become mandatory. Actually other than companies, சார் யார் சார் other than companies? நம்மள பார்ட்னர்ஷிப், NPO, sole proprietorship. Actually for these partnership, sole proprietorship, NPO இங்க எல்லாருக்கும் accounting standards mandatory கிடையாது. ஏன் சார் அப்படி சொல்லிட்டீங்க புதுசுக்கு? accounting standards mandatory கிடையாதுடா. ஏன் சார் mandatory கிடையாது? for an accounting standard to be mandatory, இந்த பார்ட்னர்ஷிப் எந்த லா ஃபாலோ பண்றானோ அந்த லா சொல்லணும் அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் ஃபாலோ பண்ணுன்னு. பார்ட்னர்ஷிப்க்கு எந்த லா அப்ளை ஆகும்? பார்ட்னர்ஷிப் ஆக்ட். சார் பார்ட்னர்ஷிப் ஆக்ட் சொல்லலையா AS ஃபாலோ பண்ணணும்? அப்படிலாம் சொல்லவே இல்லை சார். ஆக்சுவலா பார்ட்னர்ஷிப்ஸ்க்கு AS மேண்டேட்டரி கிடையாது. ஸோ அதர் தென் கம்பெனிஸ்க்கு அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் ஃபாலோ பண்ணணும்னு மேண்டேட்டரியே இல்லை. ஓகே, ஆனா ஒரே ஒரு பிரச்சனை என்னன்னா, in one of the past questions they gave a true or false question saying for non-corporate na other than companies, for other than companies accounting standards are issued by ICA. see எல்லா accounting standards ICA தான் இஷ்யூ பண்றான். ஆனா ஒரு நான் கார்ப்பரேட் என்டிட்டிஸ்க்கு ஐசிஏ கொடுக்குற அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் ஃபாலோ பண்ணணும்னு அவசியம் கிடையாது. A partnership will not listen to ICA. A partnership will listen to Partnership Act. Okay, so for other than companies, though accounting standards are issued by ICA, it is not mandatory for them. Idu nyabam vechiko finally. For other than companies, accounting standards are issued by ICA, but actually it is not mandatory for them. They need not follow those accounting standards. Sir, ipo question eppadi kekkalam, or true or false question eppadi ketana, for non corporate entities accounting standards are issued by ICA. It actually true. Accounting standards ICA தான் issue பண்ணுவான், பட் அது ஃபாலோ ஐசிஏ தான் இஷ்யூ பண்ணுவாங்க, பட் அது ஃபாலோ பண்ணணுமா இல்லையான்னு சொல்லி இட் இஸ் ஆப்ஷனல், நாட் மேண்டேட்ரி. But companies accounting standards will be issued by MCA, only then it become mandatory. They have to follow that accounting standards. So this is a quick revision of all the theory topics. As I said, in the document link will be given in this description section, so go there and you can access this document. For all the class students, I have already given to you this document, so you can also go through from that. Here I have cut short certain points to make it more beneficial for last day revision, so if you want you can also go through this. But my concern is, please don't leave this and go. First question liye almost true or false and theory question can be answered if you know this well, so please ensure you go through this well. Maina and the first unit la irundhilla number steps in accounting, objectives of accounting, benefits of accounting, and the objectives of accounting, functions of accounting, subfields of accounting, limitations of accounting, adella or vati paathuko, side headings nalla paathuko. Then accounting concepts and the going concern, measurement, money measurement, periodicity, adella or vati nalla paathuko. Capital expenditure, revenue expenditure, I have given you the examples. Examples kuduthan sonnadhu or table in the examples. Ensure you go through these examples. I have covered all the past questions in this table itself. And then next in the contingent liability, contingent asset definition already paathuko. This can also come in true or false. And then in the 4 bases of measurement, historical cost, current cost, realizable value, present value already paathuko. AS la maina objectives, benefits and limitations already nalla paathuko. Definition of AS mattum already padichirupom. Okay, in the procedure just go through once. Simple. First they will identify the area, they will prepare a draft, send for comments to different people. Once they get the comments, they will revise based on the comments, then they will prepare a final draft, then they will give it to MCA. MCA will notify, it will become mandatory for companies. In the process மட்டும் ஒரு வாட்டி go through பண்ணி ஞாபகம் வெச்சுக்கோ. யாரும் தெரியும் சடன் இப்போ வரைக்கும் கேட்கல ICA, சடனா ஒரு உங்களோட எக்ஸாம்ல சர்ப்ரைஸா ரைட் த ப்ராசஸ் ஆஃப் ஃபார்முலேஷன் ஆஃப் அக்கௌண்டிங் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ஸ் அப்படின்னு கூட கேட்கலாம். ஸோ ஜஸ்ட் என்ஷூர் யூ go through this. Definitely if you know theory you can definitely score marks, so please ensure you spend at least 1 to 1.5 hours on this and learn the side headings and the content, understand the content well. You will definitely be able to write. Okay, all the very best. Do your exams well. It is starting on September 1st week itself, this time foundation exam. Ensure you do very well. Thank you so much.